Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Circle of the World podcast, where we discuss Joe Abercrombie's First Law series. I am one of your hosts, Lord Chamberlain Jeffrey, and here are my co-hosts.
Archlector George.
And Harrison, the Adeptus Historical.
We are covering Before They Are Hanged, the second book in the original trilogy. And today we'll be covering The Condition of the Defenses and The Thing About Trust. So, let's get started. We want to continue to thank you guys for all your support. You guys are doing great. Appreciate it.
Yes.
Yes, man, yes. George, you want to say anything about the whole social media, YouTube stuff?
I mean, yeah, we've got a lot of things in the works, but we have been taking a bit of a break lately. You know, everybody's got things going on.
Mm-hmm.
Things are getting harder, and we're just trying to put out as much as we can. So just be patient with us, eh?
Patience is key. Thank you very
Well
much.
said, George.
Well said. Here. So we'll go right into our best meme of the week. George, take it away.
Yeah. So we've got Reddit user Watermelon Mannequin, who I think has had another meme of the week at some point. And I'm not going to describe this one. It's just too horny, isn't it?
But it makes me feel things.
So just if you're on House of the Meme Maker, or just go to our website and have a look at this meme. It's fantastic. Thank you, Watermelon Mannequin.
Yeah, it's for chapter 5.
It's for the chapter 5 of the House of the Meme Makers memeing every chapter series, which is always great.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and that's what you should be going to go do now. Even if you're not a part of the House of the Meme Maker, you should be.
You should join. And you encounter memes like this one, which I'm a little jealous because I want a woman to handle me like that, but whatever.
Hey, sex sells. That's why it's winning Best Meme of the Week, guaranteed. It just came out, yesterday?
It's true.
That is true. That is true.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that, George. And so our first chapter read through is The Condition of the Defenses, and this one's a great one. We start off with the point of view of Glocta. We start off with him getting him writing the letter to Archlector Salt. These letters are they're fucking great.
Yeah. And I immediately love how he goes from basically bragging to Salt, just like, yeah, no, everything's fine. The investigation is underway. We're gonna get the land wars defenses sorted and all of that. We're gonna get it all sorted out. Don't worry about it. And then he's immediately like, I bet Vatari's fucking ratted me out. Like straight away, like, oh my god, I'm fucked.
Yeah, right. We're like, oh, because he's looking at it. He's on the battlements, right? Surveying their quality, I guess. And Vatari is just, she's tightrope walking, on the parapet. And Glocta's like, I can't do that shit.
And I love this bit. This is one of the funniest lines in these books, where it's like, perhaps a desperate scream as she fell to her death, but she didn't fall, bitch.
Paige's delivery on the delay is so good. It makes me wonder what Vatari's thinking the whole time too. If she's like, I'm gonna walk on this parapet because I know he can't. Yes, bitch.
And I love Glocta's projection onto where he's imagining what she's writing to Archlector Salt, and it's like the cripple continues to flounder like a landed fish.
Yeah. He's absolutely fucking useless. Everybody hates him.
One person he actually arrested is a member of his own Inquisition.
Also, I really like the line right after he gets done with the letter. He's like, nice autumn morning in cool Dagosca. Or cool autumn morning in nice Dagosca.
Yeah, and it's fucking blazing out there.
Oh god, yeah. I don't know if anybody's ever been to North Africa or Morocco or something like that, but it is absolutely
go all the time.
Used to it.
Yeah, go all the time. Right. Doesn't everyone?
I mean, I think Marrakesh, Morocco is pretty popular.
It is. I heard Marrakesh is actually pretty popular with the Europeans, right?
Yeah, and everyone that goes there is just like, yeah, no, it's fucking awful because it's hot as shit.
Well, yeah, you don't want to go there.
And so Glocta is he's looking over the battlements, and he's also he asked the general Visbrook, who's right next to him. He's like, can I borrow your eyeglass? And, and he's all sulking. He's like, ugh, here.
Yeah.
And Glokta is looking at the Gurkish. The Gurkish have arrived. Um, they've built a palisade. They're basically starting to surround the Goska, right? They're cutting it off from the mainland. And he's like, well, it's a lot of people, right? And
So
then
how many do you reckon, Visbrook? And he's like, yeah,
not
maybe
even
5,000,
counting.
maybe more. And he's just appears not very worried at all, which doesn't look good for him, does it? Considering the whole situation.
Considering the fact that he's in charge of
Yeah, and he's
the
like,
defense,
how many soldiers do you have? And he's like,
Something
around
like-
600 or something like that. And he's like,
yeah,
what the
like,
fuck? Are you
he's like,
joking?
around 600. Jesus Christ!
I like
And-
I like noting here that Glokta, we hear that he was a good cavalry commander and all that, but
Mhm.
it's very clear, and we see as he's in Nagaska that Glokta is actually a pretty damn good organizer.
Mhm.
And the fact that he knows, he's like, I knew everybody in my company and what rule they best were suited for. That's actually pretty impressive, and not very many people do that. But that's what you should do.
Mhm.
And I feel inclined to believe him that he's not actually joking about that. He's not like being bluster because he's inside his own head.
Mhm.
He's genuinely like, this is how you're supposed to do things. What the hell's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Exactly, especially when it is literally just Visbrook and that's it between Dagoska falling.
Mhm.
Yeah. Visbrook's like, something like this amount I'm in. I don't know.
And then when Glokta literally brings up like, well, you can't supply the inner city if everything else has fallen. So what are you gonna do? And Visbrook's just like, did I
Didn't think about
that? Yeah.
Whoops.
And I like it when Glokta, he asks Visbrooks like, "What do you know of my predecessor, Superior Davos?" And he's like, "I don't know. That man's movements were no interest to me." And Glokta's, he's trying to suss out who or what who was responsible for whatever happened to Davos, right? Davos
Mhm.
or Davos?
Davoost.
Davos. What the fuck ever?
You asked, bro.
No, that wasn't towards you, George. I'm sorry. That was just in general, like, whatever, these names. And obviously Visbrook is all annoyed because Glokta's just basically he's just how do I say this? And I wanted to say gunning him, but I want to say it in a way. He's criticizing the lack of preparations that Visbrook has done, and he's like, I've done everything, right? And then this man Glock starts just counting things like the land walls are fucked. You think the ditch, is just only has dirt. Like you haven't replaced the gates. What the fuck, man? Right?
Absolutely, and Visbrook is just absolutely let everything go to shit, and Glokta's got to come in and just fix it.
Mhm.
Glocker can't just be like in charge of the Inquisition there. That's why the Architecture sent him with all that stuff, because basically Visbrook doesn't know what the hell he's doing. Verms is a stuck up prick. His father is completely out of control. Carlet and Ida is in charge of the Spicers, but clearly is only looking out for her own interest. You have all these people who are just doing their own thing and they don't really give a shit. Like, no wonder he doesn't have time to find who killed Davos, because he's busy running the entire city, preparing it for the Turkish.
That is true. He is running the entire city. Regarding Dan Eider, I think
I was just trying to stick with what we know so far.
Gotcha. Thank you for correcting me, Harrison. Appreciate that.
Just like
ignore
actually,
that.
I need you to keep my my pedantic tendencies and tamped down. All right, please do. What else? So yeah, he just at this point he's just shitting on Visbrook, right? And he tells Visbrook to hire as many people as needed, like the natives, to oh man,
to help dig out the ditch and rebuild the walls, make sure everything's ready to go. Get the the mercenaries on side and make sure everything's ship shape, so to speak. But Visbrook doesn't like this, does he? And he has to be threatened in the end,
basically,
because Glokta basically says there's no one that can't be replaced. I love this description as well. There was a great deal of sweat on Visbrook's pink face. Great drops of it.
I think this is I was just gonna say, I think this is what makes Glockta intimidating too, is because whenever he's sitting there, it's like, yeah, he's looking around, he seems crippled and everything, and then he looks at him, and I like how he notes that he just holds his eye, he just stares at him and says, "Everyone's replaceable," and just looks at him with that
Mhm.
that face that is just mutilated. I
Right.
would be intimidated as well.
Yeah. And you can see the change in his demeanor. He's like, yes, of course. Every man must do his part. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
For the Union. Yep. All hail the Archlector.
All hail the Archlector. All hail Glockta.
Now, right before he threatens him, though, he's like, "Well, how many mercenaries are in the city?" And he's like, "Oh, I don't know. The Spicers are in charge of those." And he's like, "They're in, some Styrian is in charge of him." And Vitari's like, "Oh,
Well,
his
because
name is
he
yeah."
says he says some Styrian Casca, and then she's like Nakomo Casca. And he's like, I guess.
Yeah, come on, Costco.
Uh-oh. And
Oh, we love it, don't we, boys?
we do because I love the look at this transition. Thank you for mentioning Casca, because time jump later, and we meet him. Boom, boom, boom. You like that? You like that segue?
You can do a little musical flair in there if you like, Jeff.
Sure, why not? Ba-da-bum. And they're in a dive bar, right? And it's a awful dive bar, right? And
It's not even that. It's just like some random room where people drink.
right. And they find Casca. I like this description. It's like Nakomo Casca, famed soldier of fortune, sprawled in amongst the scene of debauchery, soundly asleep.
He gets a
He's
lot of description to Casca.
He does. He does. He has like a rash on his neck, right?
Yeah,
Something like
because he's
that.
probably because he's allergic to alcohol.
Yeah.
Fucking idiot.
Interesting.
And
You
all
didn't think
of
so?
his clothes are just things that have they were good like 20 years ago,
Right.
and now they're
Yeah.
just
Garbage.
rusting and flaky and horrible, just like him.
Flaking, just like him. Yes, no, I mean you're right, George. It just sounds funny.
So it's Glockta and Vitari, right? And they meet Casca, and Vitari's like, "It's true, you're still alive." And then Casca's like, well, look who it is. And so Casca and Glockta get to talking. Basically, Glockta wants to hire Casca to be his, mercenary. I guess you could say, bring his people over. There's like 1,000, right? I believe 1,000 mercenaries under Casca.
Mhm.
And I like this little back and forth where, uh, well, he's like, I am what I am, and I never claim to be anything else. And he's like, so you've been known to betray an employer? He's like, I am thoroughly offended, superior. I can only turn my back on an employer under one condition, which is like if someone else were to offer me more. It's like, okay, well, thanks for being honest.
Yeah. I love Stephen Pacey's delivery in the audiobooks as well when he says this, and he's like, "Well, it was an awful lot of money."
What else? Harrison, you were gonna say something?
I was just gonna say I really like how after they're talking to him, Galacta can still tell that he is like much smarter and much more clever than he's all like, oh, I'm drunk, I can't do anything, but really he's very aware,
Oh yeah, for sure.
and very he knows what he's about, which is what he basically says, like, I am what I am, but you can see it in his behavior too, which is a really nice touch.
Mm.
And he asked Cascas for like what's his opinion of General Visbrook, and Casca gives like a pretty good description.
Just a
Right.
child praying with toy soldiers.
And he says he basically just reaffirms Galacta's idea, which is we lose the land laws, we're fucked. So
Yeah,
I don't see the
yeah,
point of protecting the inner city.
yeah. So like Glockta likes that. So, he basically hires him, and he's like, perhaps the Gurkish won't attack, and then Casca's like, oh, I hope they do. I get paid double when the fighting starts, which is great. So that was a pretty good introduction to Casca, I would say, right?
Yeah, we also have a little note in here that one, just like everybody else, everyone is slightly aroused by Vatari, but also kind of terrified of her. Um,
Listen, she's a redhead.
yeah.
I
Hey, wait a minute.
listen. What?
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 Um,
I like
and
redheads.
then there is there's nice note where he basically says that he's fighting against Duke Orso, which is our first notation of Grand Duke Orso. This is the first time we see him mentioned, I believe. Awesome.
No, because we meet
Correct.
Princess Therese. Remember?
Oh
Earlier.
yeah, daughter of Grand Duke Orso. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
But we also get mentioned one Makato.
Yes, we do. We
Oh,
get
yeah.
a little Easter egg of a story yet to come.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that. It still matches up. There's no retconning later on. This is what happens, and I like that.
Even if he's sort of preaching the truth a little bit when he says, "Damn nasty trick," you know.
But you know what I noticed too is just something to point out. You could tell, like, even though Joe, when he was writing this, he didn't have it all fleshed out yet, but he knew where he was going with it because in the book, the spelling is off.
Yeah, it's different, isn't it? It's with a U in later on.
Yeah, and everything else,
Mercado.
it's Mercado, and here's Mercado. I was like, oh, interesting. So it's like he's like, I don't like that. I like the U. Either
Just
that
like
or
with Soprano in the last book, it might have been
Stefano, yeah. Yeah. So it's either an editing issue or Joe just likes to switch up letters here and there.
Yeah, I just like how it's consistent.
Mhm.
Other than the spelling.
Welcome to the circle of the world where we just point out all the flaws in these books.
Yo, I as an aside on the dating app that I'm on, I host a fantasy podcast where I myopically focus on the inconsequential aspects of a fantasy book series.
Fuck yeah, bro.
That'll reel him in.
What it'll do is it'll weed out the weak ones. You made the right call, Jeff.
Okay, so we get like a little time jump again, and now Glocta is waiting to meet with the Lord Governor. And he's not happy about waiting, but it was not the Lord Governor. It turns out to be the Lord Governor's son, Kirsten Dan Verms, or Corsten, right? Corsten, okay. I like how he's like, Superior Glocta, I hope I haven't kept you waiting. And he's like, you did. That's what happens when a motherfucker's late. Don't be late, bitch. Sorry, it's ferrets are playing with toys. You guys want to take this over? I know you guys are loving this part, this interaction.
He's all like, I just like how Kirsten and Verms kind of does the same thing, and as Glocta immediately points out, it's like, oh, he's kind of like Luthar. He's like, oh, he seems like he knows what he acts like he knows what he's doing, but really, he's like it crumbles easily. And he's not like, how are you finding the city, Lord Governor? And you're like, Glocta's like, bruh, are you serious? He's like, you even hate living here, like, goddamn.
Mhm.
And he's basically he gives him an update. Glocta gives him an update not because he needs to give him an update, but because he wants to piss him off, which is awesome.
Right.
He's like, oh yeah, the natives are gonna help us start building stuff, and he's like, no, they're primitives. And then he's like, you should talk more to Inquisitor Haka about that. And he's like, oh, I did. And he's somewhere in the dungeons.
Mm-hmm.
And again, the whole chapter, honestly, I just love how Glocta's talking to each of these people a little bit differently for each one, but at the same time, still asserting his dominance in every single conversation he's in.
Exactly, and I love the fact that when he gets to this one, he's just like taking a break.
Yeah,
like
he's
dealing with this guy is like nothing. He's just like,
yeah. I like how the part where Verms is like, he's starting to like wheedle, right? And he's like, listen, my father has many friends back in Middleland. I can be a significant hindrance to you if I have the mind, or great help. And then right there, Glocta cuts him off. He's like, I'm so glad you have chosen to cooperate. So you can begin by telling me what became of Superior Davos. Like this,
just ultimate power move.
Yeah. And then he's like, how should I know? And he's like, everyone knows something. And I was like, oh, damn.
And it's interesting because Verms here doesn't back away. He doesn't he thinks for a minute and then actually genuinely goes, He's like, probably the primitives.
Maybe we got off on the wrong foot. And he's like, well, I only have one that works.
Oh, that was
And I like
great.
how Kirsten straight up says too, without any kind of indication of a lie. He's like, "Oh, believe me, I wish the booth was still here." That's a good little jab at Galacta. One that doesn't really mean anything to Galacta, but again,
And I love it when we get to the bit with the food stores, and he's like, "We've got 6 months for all of the like." Oh,
He's like,
except for
better
the
than
natives, of course. It's like, oh, okay, so 90% of the city doesn't have food, and you think that's okay? And he's like, yeah,
Yeah, he's totally cool with it.
yeah.
Yeah,
It is incredible how incompetent these people are in Dagosca, and I think it really kind of shows like how useless the Union really is when it comes to like places that they've promised these people that they'll have like a good life in the Union and all that, and it's just it's hell,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
nobody knows what they're doing,
One might
and
say it's
everyone's just
hell
in
on
it for
earth.
themselves. Hell on earth, maybe.
Or it will be.
Mm.
Does anybody get that
Yeah.
reference? You guys get it, guys?
What?
You guys got that
Good,
reference?
yeah,
Right?
yeah. No,
No.
No.
no, you'll have to
Sharp
explain
ends.
it to us
Sharp
later.
ends.
Oh
Sharp
yeah,
ends.
yeah. Got it.
Jeff?
Uh,
Remember, there's a chapter, Hell on
No.
Earth. They're in Dagosca during the siege.
during the siege, right?
Yeah.
From
Whoa, spoilers.
a
Whoa.
certain character. Yeah, I mean,
well,
it's not really a spoiler.
yeah, we know
Siege.
this Goska is gonna come under siege. All right. I mean, the Gurkish don't show up just to hand out flowers.
Hey,
all right?
Jeff, take it easy. Take it easy.
I am still recovering. Goddammit. I like how this is where Glocta tells Verms, you're gonna go to the merchants and you're gonna get provisions for 6 months for everybody. I want even the rats fed. And then Verms is like, "What am I? Your grocery boy?"
Your grocery boy.
and then I like Glocta when he's like, "I suppose you're whatever I tell you to be." And I was like, "Damn! Oh shit, son!"
It's kind of
And
hot.
That's hot. And then this is where the threats come out, right? He's like, you can just go straight to the House of Questions if you have an issue. And then he goes, "You have to be a bold man to bet your life on what I would dare. How bold are you?" And then he was like, "Never mind." And then
Yeah,
this is
well,
the part where you said like it reminds me of Captain Luthor because all flash and arrogance, but no kind of character,
That's a good.
no
roast.
backbone. He's a bitch. And I like the 6 months food, 6 months for everyone, and see that it's done promptly. And then in his head, he's like, "Grocery boy."
Yeah.
And then
I love how Glocta is just a little bit spiteful. He's just
Yeah,
a little bit, mean and a little bit fucking just over the top.
a little bit.
A little bit.
A
Grocery
little
boy.
bit. That's an understatement.
Grocery boy.
He's sassy as fuck, though.
Yeah. And then I like how he's like, "You're gonna do this," and he's like, "Of course." Verms is responding like he's barely like looking at him, and he's like, "Yes, yes." And then Glock is like, "You may go. Bye bye."
Get out of my sight.
But he does realize that he needs to start making allies here, because
Yeah.
he's already made enemies out of Verms, and I guess you could say Visbrook. I guess Visbrook seems too much of be like a, I don't know, coward. I guess you could say, or maybe just incompetent.
Yeah, he seems a little bit self-obsessed to be like a part of anything big,
Yeah. So we ended the chapter with that, with Verms leaving the meeting in an unhappy mood. What do you
And
guys?
his Glocta's last thought is basically like the whole situation is hopeless.
Yeah, he's like, "We're fucked."
It's hope, Archlector, patience. Never have the three ideas belong together like.
What does he say? What is that thing that Salt says that we love to say? He's like, "You're not as crippled as you could be, Glocta."
Look to you, crippled worm.
Oh yeah, that one.
What's the thing he
Oh,
says to fuck the other guy? I think-
Goyle.
Yeah, Goyle.
You're
Oh,
lucky you're not apologizing over a slow fire.
I heard there were 2. How many were there? 20. 20.
you are worse than wretched.
I am.
I like how you asked what we like about this chapter, and we're talking about a character that's not even in this chapter.
Sorry. I'm sorry. Oh, this happens, everyone. So, what would you rate this chapter? Harrison, go first. Jesus Christ.
I do. My only notes to the chapter is I noticed that he says it's 2 weeks before the Gurkish. I approximate 2 weeks, and he's only been here for like probably at most a week, a couple days more than likely, and that's a really short time period to get everything in order. I think it's what Glock's just like, we're fucked, bro. And I like this sense of dread that that Galacta has, but it feels so much different than like a classic heroic last stand, like Aragorn at Helm's Deep, who's like, well, we're gonna fight until we die. It's not like that. Galacta's like, oh, we're probably fucked, and that's unfortunate, because I just got here. He just doesn't. He just has a completely different vibe, even though they're basically like it's hopeless. And it's just really exciting. This is like what makes the Goska chapter so great is all the different characters and how Galacta gets around every situation. It shows his intelligence, his character, as well as highlighting like the things that Joe's good at whenever he's making these other subtle things with characters, whether that be Vatari or Casca or Verms or whoever, Visbrook. And we get a couple more. We get many more chapters of this, and it's very exciting. So I reckon I give this chapter an 8 out of 9, just because I just really like the conversation, how it ebbs and flows, and we get some lore tidbits. I think it's a really good chapter.
Yeah, no, it is.
I mean, I think I'm going to go with a 7 and a knuckle.
7 and a knuckle, okay.
Because I do like it, and it is good. It is all talking, though. Which is
It
good.
is true.
Always good in Glockta chapters, because it doesn't really do anything else. It's talking or
it's just
torturing,
talkers.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really do much else.
But, you're right. It really shows the difference between this sort of thing and kind of book where it would be just like, oh, everybody's on board and everybody's doing their best and we're all going to work together like a team, and everyone's just out for themselves.
Yep.
And even though the ship is sinking, everyone's just like hoarding their own thing.
And honestly, even after you finish the Dagaska chapters here, you feel if you read back, you could read all these chapters with different contexts, and you notice a lot of subtle character things, and it's hard not to like the Dagaska chapters, because of all the good work they do on them.
100%.
Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure. The Galacta's entire time in Dagaska is like one of the best parts of this whole book. Seriously.
Oh, 100%. This is the reason why these books are one of my favorite books ever.
Yeah. Before They Were Hanged, such a great book. I give this chapter a 7 out of 9 fingers. All the interactions, we get the little tip, get a nice, cool little intro to Casca, who will be featured prominently down the line, and certain character traits will be brought to light. Yeah, and like you guys already said everything about how he puts everyone in their place, and it's a realistic sense. This isn't like everyone's gonna come together, like you said, for Helm's Deep. Like, yep, I'm here for you. It's like, no, everyone's always gonna be self-interested, and Galacta has to navigate that. So,
and to be clear, we all love Helm's Deep.
We listen, yeah. Love Lord of the Rings. Chill out. Don't think we're not fans.
The Circle of the World podcast said that Dagaska Siege is better than Helm's Deep. I don't think so. Come on, girls, let's get him. Let's get.
Oh shit! Hashtag not my Helm's Deep.
Sorry, guys, we just got to preempt all that.
It's all right. All right. So we'll move on to our character spot, and well, what do you know? It is Kirsten Dan Verms. Corsten Dan Verms.
Colston, not Vaughn.
Corsten. What do we want to say about this this knucklehead, this goofball?
He's one of those guys, like, he is only in power because his dad actually has
Yeah.
power. But his dad is old and weak and frail and demented.
Uh-huh.
And he's just slowly wormed his way in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, his name is literally Worm.
Worm.
Kirsten Dan Worm.
It can't be a coincidence. This guy is just a worm. He just I'm gonna sneak in there and do all these little things. And he's not even that successful. You know?
Yeah,
He's just
yeah.
a little gobshite. I fucking hate him.
Mm-hmm.
That might be a new word for you guys.
What?
Gobshite.
Gobshite?
Gobshite, yeah.
What? Can you explain that to me?
So gob is like mouth.
Uh-huh. That I know.
So you know, you're a shit mouth, you know, chat
Oh,
shit.
gobshite. Oh, you're a shit mouth. Okay. All right. Look at that. Look at that, Harrison. We're getting educated here on this podcast.
I know something.
Guess what I learned today? I know how to say shit mouth in British.
In I like
Yes, you did.
Kirsten Dan Verms. And like in the character sense, because like even though he is kind of a little shit, and he's warmed his way up, and he kind of has that he has not that Glockta, the a young Glockta feeling maybe, or Giselle. You know, he hasn't completely wasted his position, and I like that that's in there. It's not just he is a complete prick, but he's not like, I'm a complete prick and I don't know how to do anything, I'm completely disabled. It's clear that Kirsten does know. He thinks he knows the right things to say to get what he wants, and he thinks he knows how to swing his his dick around to prove his dominance. They don't work in Glockta, but you can't really blame him because they usually work on everybody else. And I
But he
like
keeps
that.
falling back on like worse and worse things. Like,
Oh yeah,
it starts out
certainly.
with a bluster, and then he goes to the wheedle, and then he goes to threatening, and then it's just like,
yeah.
Like he never really actually had to learn how to
navigate people.
Yeah, exactly. He should read Dale Carnegie, how to influence people and make friends.
how to make friends and influence people. That is it's an interesting book.
It's a good book. It's a very good book. Okay, so that was our character spot for Corson Dan Verms. I don't have much to say about him except that he's a shithead.
Damn.
Yeah, no, I mean,
You're
fuck him.
mostly right. Yeah.
So now we go to our second chapter read through, and this is the thing about trust. And we start off from Pharaoh's point of view. And she's not necessarily having the best time of her life, right? She doesn't trust anybody. She looks like Malik is crying. She's like, she doesn't trust him a finger's breadth. He's like his eye. She said his eyes flickered over to her, lingered an insulting moment, and then darted off.
Yeah. There's so much meaning in that tiny second of just how long does it take for a look to be insulting,
right?
like,
and then she looks at Giselle. She's like, his stiff ass back.
the princess of the union.
He's like, oh, he's pretty. He's dainty as a princess. It's like,
I
oh,
love how
fuck.
she's like entertained by that, like genuinely. She's like, ha, yeah, take that.
She's like,
I like how she just slowly goes up and up the ones that she likes the least to the ones she likes the least, I guess.
yeah, she likes them all equally less. Just nuts. She's like, beauty was never to be trusted. I was like, damn, she just hates everybody.
And then speaking of beauty, this is the opposite. This I don't know what I'm looking at. Looking at Logan, like, looks like sniffing,
she's like,
chewing like a big cow.
She's like, beauty's disgusting, and that's why Logan, being butt ass ugly, is decent.
Which is funny because you know that drawing of the Logan and Farrah that came out.
Yeah.
And people on Reddit were like, "Fuck, Logan's hot."
Yeah.
Something's wrong.
Damn it. Yeah, she goes, you had to look far and wide to find anyone less beautiful than the big 9-fingered bastard. A slow moving, scratching, sniffing, chewing like a big cow, like you said. Trying to look like he doesn't have any killing in him. No mad fury, no devil. I was like, oh, that's she knows. She knows.
Yeah, she's seen it.
Yeah, he was a devil wearing a cow skin, and I think that might be the best description of Logan Nine Fingers, right?
Mm.
One might say he might be wearing a sheepskin. Guys, I'm coming up with these bangers right now. Come on.
bro.
A certain baby sheepskin. Wink,
Oh my God.
wink.
And then we have that damn navigator always talking, always smiling, always laughing. She hates talk and smiles and laughter.
She's so cynical.
Yeah, she was like underneath all his lies, he was plotting. She could feel it. I was like, what the fuck?
But my favorite bit is this bit when she's talking about Baez, and it's like full of secrets, the bald bastard with his thick neck and his wooden pole, acting his life he had never done good in his life. Like he wouldn't know the first thing about making a man explode.
What does a person look like who knows that they can make a man explode?
Yeah.
Like they know a thing about it? How does she know that?
And we get some more casual racism from Pharaoh. She's like, damn, fucking pinks.
They're everywhere.
She's like, why did I let you away talk me into this shit? And then so she's they're all on their way to Alcus or Chalcis or something, right? No, Alcus, because they
No,
just
they're not. They're not going there yet. Right now, they're heading towards, I believe, Darmium.
Oh, okay. And so Pharaoh's kind of like regretting her decision to join them on this journey, but a little too late. She's already with them. They get to a bridge, and they're trying to go over the bridge. You guys might have to take over from here a little bit because I'm.
Oh no, yeah, they're just. I know what scene you're talking about, Jeff, but right here, they're just going along after she gets done looking at Baez, and he's like, "Oh, that guy doesn't know what he's. Can't believe you would talk me into this," and she's just fucking griping the whole time. She's like, "Wait a minute, I don't know enough about this. It's time for me to know more." And she goes to Baez, and he's like, she's not like, "Where are we going?" And he's like, "We're going out towards the plain, out towards Darmium." Wait.
Yeah, and he slowly starts getting more and more angry. He's like, oh, that's good. I like the fact that he's angry. This means that I'm asking the right questions. Like, who's Kalul? And he's like, Kalul is one of the Order of Magi. He's one of my order, and he was the second, and blah, 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 and he was jealous of me, and blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, and Pharaoh doesn't really care, and just like, I don't give a shit. But this is making you angry, so I want to keep asking.
Yeah.
She's like entertained by it, yeah. We also get a little timeline here too. He says all of winter and into spring, which is interesting because the entire time that they're traveling, it's wintertime in the Empire.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a 6-month journey, right, or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Six. Is this? It's 6 months to wherever they're supposed to go, and then 6 months back, I believe. Or is it the whole thing 6 months? I don't know.
Well, they said, well, you don't know how far into winter they are.
It's about 9 months, I believe, altogether.
Okay.
The reason why I say that is because, well, we'll wait to stop the timeline, but I believe it's about 9 months.
Okay. And then Baez is pissed. He's like, "My God, how many questions you gonna ask, bitch? Stop it!" And then some time goes by, right? And now they're around the campfire. There's no kumbayas at this site.
They're all just sitting there staring at each other like.
Well, did you guys want to point out how Baez, that's the thing he did before, where he finally gets to the point where she's like, "What is the seed?" And he basically says, he like thinks for a second. He's like, "Oh, that's right. It's the instrument of your vengeance. Yeah. Fuck the Gurkish, Fuck Kalul. The seed is how we're gonna do it." Yeah. And I like there's that thing he does. He did the same thing he did before, where he brings up her vengeance to talk about that. Also, I really like the line where she's like, "You have loud voices, and I have good ears. I'm not sticking a bucket on my head." Anyways, yes, they're all around the campfire. I just really like those two moments.
No, yeah. No,
No, they are really, really good moments.
no, for sure. Um, I Logan comes over to her, right, and he's like, "We'll take shifts, in terms of like keeping watch." And he's like, "Could be dangerous, so I'll go. He'll go first." And then she's like, "No, I'll watch." And he's like, "No, you can sleep. I'll do it." And she's like, "I do not sleep." And he's like, "What? Never?" It's like that scene from True Detective where he's like, "I don't sleep. I just dream." It's like, which is like, I bet Logan had that same exasperated look, like, "Oh my god." And then Longfoot, he's like, maybe that explains her mood.
And he's like, oh ho ho! He's like fucking Morty laughing at his own jokes.
So then Logan's like, "All right, if you want to go first, then do it, but wake me in a couple hours. We should each take our turn." And then so everyone falls asleep, and Pharaoh's here, basically, packing some shit, to get ready to start. She's gonna run, right? She's gonna run away, and she's like looking around. She's like making sure that everyone is sleeping. She has a bag ready to go, and then
She
out of
noticed.
nowhere,
She takes a look at everybody, right?
She
Everybody's sleeping.
scowls at the fucking horses as well.
She's like, stupid horses. Like,
Fucking horses. I fucking hate horses.
she's like,
all they're gonna do is get you killed. But I can ride. I can, but I won't.
"I'm a great rider, but fuck horses."
It makes you wonder if Farrah's actually a good rider.
Probably not.
She's like,
Oh,
dog
she
shit.
just runs. She just runs all the time. That's all she does. And then so
You
she's
see-
looking around. What?
Oh, just she was looking around at everybody. I was just gonna point out what she sees at everybody.
Oh, go ahead.
She sees Luthor, and Luthor is all like, he's got the blanket pulled up to his chin, like, ooh, I'm cold. Baez is got his back to her, and then she sees Kwai as well, and
Mhm.
Kwai, he's just like, oh, that's weird. His eyes are halfway open, huh? And then she's like, wait a minute, where's the other one? And then Logan is like, going already, which
Yeah.
would be absolutely terrifying. I'm just imagining that in a Bloody Nine's voice. Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
You're about to sneak away, and you hear going already. You're like, oh shit, I'm gonna die.
Yeah, right. And she notes that like it was a surprise that he could have crept around her like that, because she thought he seemed too big, too slow, too noisy, right? So she's like, there's more to this fucker.
Again, yeah.
And then I like how she goes, "I don't want to fight you, Pink. I've seen you fight." And then he goes, "I seen you run, and I'd rather fight you than chase you."
Yeah.
So basically, he knows that she's trying to, like, leave, and he's like, "Look, I don't want to like have to try to chase you down because I just know Baez is gonna make me do that if you leave." So,
I find it interesting how Logan kind of takes sort of like the subservient role to Baez.
mhm,
Like he just said, he would go after Pharaoh and catch her
mhm,
just because Baez says so.
yeah,
And I do think that's interesting, like considering that he seems, in his own mind that he is such like this independent person.
yeah,
Let's think about this for a second, because we've seen this kind of behavior before. Well, we know how he is, and I'm not convinced that if she were to win away, Baez would be like, you got to go get her. But I feel like Logan would also be like, Baez, I have to go get her, because if he has to go get her, he might have to go get into some trouble, and it's not his fault. It's he had to go do it.
mm.
That makes sense. I like
I
that.
don't think he's trying to do that. Like I don't think Logan is like that. On the actively. I think he's subconsciously like that though, where
Right.
he's basically like, I'm not even convinced that like they wake up and
Mhm.
Logan would go over to Baez and he'd say, I have to go after her, because she ran away, and Baez would be like, well, of course, and rather than him waiting for Baez to tell him. Logan doesn't really wait for people to tell him what to do. He acts on his own and then tells other people like, well, you would have wanted me to do it.
Yeah, but since he met Baez, he has been subservient, like George said. And remember, he's like, he just doesn't want to take responsibility. He doesn't want to make any more decisions because he's just not happy with where he's been in life,
Yeah.
And he always blamed it on who blamed it on other people, but he did also blame it on himself. He's like, I've made terrible decisions, so I'm just
No,
gonna.
for sure, for sure. That's why I don't think it's an active thought. I think it's more of a
Right.
subconscious idea
Okay.
that he hit.
Okay. I get that. I get that. That was a nice one, Harrison. Good. And George, you too. Good job. Good job, guys. Um. So Logan is trying to, talk to her. He's like, look, maybe there's another way. And then he's like, stay with us. Give it a few days. If you don't change your mind, then I'll help you pack. You can trust me. And then Farrah's like, what is this word trust?
What the fuck is that?
And then she goes, why should I trust you? And he's like, why not? Back in the city, I helped you and you helped me. Without each other, might be we both be dead. She's like, that's true. And then he's like, that's the thing about trust. Sooner or later, you just got to do it without good reasons. And then he's like, otherwise, you end up like us. And who wants that? So he offers.
Yeah, he's got
to
a
do it.
point, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's like, he'll do a deal. He'll watch her back if she watches his back. He'll stick and she'll stick. And she thought about it, and she's like, running had given her freedom, but little else. Because all she's just been running in the Badlands, right?
Yeah, I mean, being on the run the whole life is not a good way to be.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe stick to the group and see what happens.
See what happens. Just see. Let's just see.
You never know.
Even if they are a bunch of fucking pinks.
Fucking pink. And she's like, all right, Pink, I will stick as you say, and we will see. But I make no fucking promises. So, and I like how they both sat down, like they sat and they just watched each other.
Yeah, that's literally the love they watched each other.
That is so funny. That is so funny.
Oh, brilliant.
It's like almost like, fuck, she sticks her tongue at him and he sticks his tongue back at her. Like, it's stupid. No, you're stupid.
But good on Logan for trying to look out for Farrah. He doesn't want her to leave, right? And it wouldn't have really worked out too well for Farrah anyway. She doesn't even know this land. Where the fuck's she gonna go?
Very true.
South. She gotta go south.
She's gonna be like, fuck, I need the navigator. God damn it.
She fucking just packs Brother Longfoot up too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Tell me how to get to Gorkon.
She drags him along, but tapes his mouth shut, and then only yanks it off to know which way am I going? Am I going the right way? How would you guys rate that chapter?
I reckon I'll give that one a 6. I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 9 fingers.
Okay.
Because I love Pharaoh's chapters where she's describing anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Because she just has such a totally unique view about everything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I love reading her cynicism and her just hatred poured into everything that she says and thinks.
Why do you empathize with that?
No, but I just think it's funny. So yeah, 6.
Nice, good one, Harrison.
I think I ought to give this one a 4. I like that. I do appreciate Barrow chapters. I think they're written, like you said, George, very differently. I like the Logan bit, and I like how there's all this subtle character things that Farrah notices that nobody else notices. But it also is it's a fairly small chapter overall, and I don't think it's his best work character wise for any of these characters. It's just developing, which is fine. But I'm just not. It's entertaining. I got through it pretty fast because Barrow's hilarious, but it's not really. I don't know. I just don't enjoy it as much as a lot of the other chapters.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I gave it a 5 out of 9. It's a quick chapter, but I like it. I mean, I liked it. I like how Farrah just her assessment of everybody in the group. It's in a way, it's cynical, but it is kind of spot on. It's pretty spot on.
Yeah.
And I like how she annoys Baez here. She's not trying to be. She's not going into this blind. As she's trying to know as much as possible, unlike Logan, who doesn't want to know anything.
I'm telling you, man, those two are a very good. What is it? When there's two sides of something, not a coin. It's like a term instead of writing.
They have good chemistry.
No, they have good parallels. There's a lot of opposites in them and a lot of similar things. They're very good.
Okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
They're very good dichotomies of one another.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could say two sides of one coin, actually. That
Good, yeah. I mean, you are right. I just was trying to think of a term that wasn't as so well used.
oh.
You hipster.
You fuckers.
Oh shit. All right. Well, that was our chapter ratings, and that was our second chapter read through. Moving on to our next segment, which is the community interaction segment.
So, of course, we did another poll, which are always fun to see what people think. This time was the favorite POV characters in the Blade itself. And for this one, obviously, we just did the 6 main POVs in the Blade itself. I was curious to see who would win. I knew it was probably going to be Logan or Galacta, but I was surprised to see that Galacta very firmly won by quite a few votes. Pharaoh got hardly any votes, so did West, which is fine because they didn't have that many chapters. Giselle got third, but not by very much. The Dogman had way more than I thought. I thought Dogman was going to be at the bottom, seeing as he has 3 chapters in the whole Blade itself. But everyone was like, well, the Dogman left me wanting more. Oh, I love the way he talks. I was like, oh, okay, I guess it's fair. But this just goes to show that Galacta probably will win every single one of these whenever it comes to the book read-throughs, up through the original trilogy at least. Just simply because, I mean, his chapters are fucking amazing. I can't really blame anybody for voting for him.
Yeah.
No, exactly. Glockter is the star of the show in the Blade itself, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Especially like since Logan's first couple chapters are real slow. Like not much happens there.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, besides him falling off the cliff.
And Giselle is a complete unlikable bastard.
Yeah,
but he still somehow got 4 times more votes than Pharaoh.
Yeah, I was talking. I talked to him in the Blade itself, but you have to remember that some of those people are just gonna be like, "Oh, that's my favorite character. Here it is."
No, of course, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, Giselle is kind of a prick. Everyone's like, "Why didn't Giselle do better?" I'm like, "He's kind of a main character in the verse." I'm like, "Because he's a cunt."
Because he's a cunt.
That's why. But yeah, it was interesting to see what people thought about that. I wasn't sure how it was going to turn out, so that was nice.
That's our show, everyone. We want to thank you all for listening and supporting this podcast. As you all know, this is a passion project for the 3 of us, and your support really does mean a lot to us.
Join us next week as we cover allies and campfire politics.
And make sure you follow us on social media and go to our website. We are circleoftheworld.com. If you say so, Jeff.
Okay. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever else that you listen to podcasts on. And please rate and review this podcast as it helps to spread our reach. Thank you all again for listening.
It all looks the same if you're drunk enough.